All right, guys. So we are going to pick up where we left off yesterday. Today shouldn't be terrible, to be honest with you. Adding and subtracting complex numbers. Complex just means it has an I in it. That's all it means. If you hear complex, it's got an I. I is going to act just like a variable would. Just treat it like you would treat an x. Okay, so if I have negative 5 plus 8i plus 6 minus 4i, am I multiplying? What sign is in between those parentheses? A plus sign. So let me ask again. Are you multiplying? No, you are not multiplying. It kills me when people multiply. Do not multiply. All right? See the big plus sign? I'm going to get real annoyed when I'm grading your test on Thursday for everybody that distributes that. There's a big plus. Do not multiply. All right? So are these parentheses necessary? No, they're really not. All right? Typically, complex numbers are put together as a plus bi, a plus bi. So like they a lot of times will group them as like this is a complex number that's like one piece together. Don't ask me why, I didn't create all the rules, but that's why they do that. So we need to recognize though, if there's a plus in between parentheses, you do not distribute. Okay, it's an addition problem. So I have like terms. What is negative 5 plus 6? And what is 8i minus 4i? Just 4? 4i. Hey, look at that. I'm done. Wasn't that hard? That's really it. All right, the next one. Are you going to multiply? No, I'm not going to multiply. There's a plus sign. Do not distribute. All right, so like terms, I have 7 minus 3. One person knows basic math. Come on now. Negative 2i plus I. Negative I or negative 1i, if you prefer. Man, today's rough, isn't it? Hard stuff. What about the third one? This is where all the wheels fall off. What do you do on that one? What'd you get? Incorrect. Blue? Incorrect. Person, what did you say? Distribute the negative. Did you hear him? Guys, a negative in front of a parenthesis changes the sign of everything inside of it. That is like saying there's a negative 1 sitting there. Now, up here, could I have thought of this as a positive 1 sitting there? Yeah, because what happens if you distribute a positive 1? Nothing. Nothing changes. Doesn't do anything. So down here, though, if there's a negative 1, will that change it? Yes. Does this one change at all? No. We read from left to right. There is nothing in front of this one. So negative 10 minus 3i. I will distribute. That changes that to a negative 4. It changes that one to a positive 9i. Okay, so if there is a plus sign in between, I don't have to worry about doing anything. Okay, but if there is a minus, you need to distribute that negative. We read from left to right, so it's going to go to whatever's after. Okay, so like terms, negative 10 minus 4, negative 14, and then negative 3i plus 9i plus 6i. So what do you think everyone does on the test? Not everyone, but a lot of people do. They distribute every single problem with parentheses. Yeah, so you got to be careful what's inside of there. All right, so why don't you guys try these two on your own? All right, so how do we do here? What do we have to do with the first one? Distribute what? That negative? Yeah, we got to distribute that negative. Do I distribute anything to here? I love the look on your face. That was a total Cole face right there, by the way. Same kind of things. So we distribute here. That's going to make that a positive 2 and a negative 4i. And then we can put our like terms together. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. Negative 3i minus 4i, negative 7i. Beautiful. All right. Do I have to distribute anything here? Could I? If I do I change anything? No, I don't really change anything. So we have negative 3 plus 3. Gone. 9i plus 9i. 18i. All right. How are we doing? Adding and subtracting. Are we good? Awesome. Are you cool if I skip these 4? Because it's just more of the same. Okay. If you really need more practice, come see me. I'll go over them with you. All right, so then let's talk about multiplying those complex numbers. If you think back to when we watched that really boring video about imaginary numbers, it is really boring, but it had good info in it. We talked about I squared equaled negative 1. It was in your notes that day. We talked about that. We need to remember that today. Because leaving an I squared in a problem is considered not simplified. Another one of those random rules, right? We can't leave a radical in the bottom. You can't leave an I squared in your answer. Okay, I squared is negative 1. So if I go to multiply, I know this is distribute, right? Because there's no plus or minus in front of the parenthesis. So I distribute, I get negative 10i. What's that give you? Negative 2i squared, right? Because I times I is I squared. I cannot leave an I squared. That's considered not simplified. Well, I squared is negative 1. So this is like saying negative 1 is in place of, right? All I did was I substituted, instead of I squared, I put negative 1, because they mean the same thing. Take yours, not mine. All right? His phone's the same as mine. He literally picked mine up and thought it was his. He really came back in for more candy. Did you see that? Bye, Cole. All right, so then negative 2 and negative 1 gives me 2. So negative 10i plus 2. So if you have an I squared, replace that I squared with a negative 1, and then just go ahead and finish simplifying. All right, so right here, 7i times 3i gives you 21i squared. But I squared is negative 1, which gives me negative 21. Is today really hard? You're crying? Emotionally? Physically, I shouldn't be. Not yet. Not until the activity today. All right, so let's multiply some. Do we get to do the bad 4-letter F word? Distribute, right? I like that one better. Distribute makes more sense to me. So we distribute negative 3 times 4. Negative 12. Carson, are you the smartest one in here? You're the only one who knows basic math today. Did you hear him? I think that was a challenge, you guys. All right, negative 3 times negative 2i. Positive 6i. 6i times 4. And 6i times negative 2i. What do we know about I squared? That's negative 1. So that's really negative 12 times negative 1, right? This we're going to replace with negative 1. So what does that become? Positive 12. I squared is replaced with negative 1. So therefore, I squared is gone. Okay? All right, so now let's go ahead and finish cleaning this up. We have negative 12 plus 12. Gone. And then that's just 30i. So anytime you go through and distribute and you end up with an I squared in something, immediately take that I squared, replace it with a negative 1, and clean that up. So in other words, what's an I squared being a negative 1? What's it doing to anything it's attached to? It's switching the sign. Good. What? Thanks. A lot of times they're, nowhere close to nice. All right, next one. 4 times negative 1. 4 times negative 2i. 3i times negative 1. and 3i times negative 2i. And we know I squared is negative 1. And negative 6 times negative 1. Positive 6. Thanks, guys. All right, so like terms. Negative 4 plus 6. Negative 8i minus 3i. And we're done. Can you guys do the last one by yourself? Sure you can. I see some right answers, and I see some wrong answers. You got it right now. All right, let's go ahead and talk through it. So we have 5 times 5, 25. 5 times negative 3i, negative 15i, positive 15i, and then negative 9i squared. So right away I see the I squared. I know I squared is what? Negative 1. Thanks. Oval. It's a nice oval. All right, so that makes that a positive 9. So when I put like terms together, 20, you clearly see I clicked on blue, right? So 25 plus 9 is 34. Now it's just messing with me. And then I have negative 15i and plus 15i. Those are going to cancel. So it is just 34. Saw a couple people did not switch your sign on your 9, so that was your problem. All right. So the problem we just looked at, actually come back to that for a second. The problem we just did, 5 plus 3i, 5 minus 3i. Very similar, right? Just opposite signs in between. Those actually have a name called a complex conjugate. You know how it is in math, right? If it sounds fancy and hard, it's usually pretty easy. This is another one of those cases. Complex conjugate sounds very scary. All it means is the sign in between is different. One's got a plus, one's got a minus. That's all it means. So if you look right here, negative 2 minus 7i, negative 2 plus 7i. The one mistake a lot of students make is they try to change the sign on the first one as and 1 on the inside. The only sign you're ever changing when you're making complex conjugates is the middle sign. Okay? The first one is exactly the same, just the middle sign is different. So it says right here, the product of complex conjugates is a real number. The one we just did, its answer was just a real number. Whereas this answer, is that real? See the I? What's an I? Imaginary. This is not real. This is imaginary. This is real. Okay, so if I go to multiply these complex conjugates together, I should get a real number. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Negative 2 times 7i. Negative 7i times negative 2. Negative 7i times positive 7i. Negative 49i squared. Oh, I squared is equal to negative 1. That's going to change that to a positive 49. All right, so then we have 4 plus 49 is 53. And then the imaginaries in the inside are going to cancel out. So it's just 53. So which sign changes to make a conjugate? Which sign? The middle sign, just the middle sign. So if you look at the next part, I want you to give the complex conjugate and multiply. Here's what happens when I have questions like this on your test on Thursday. People will give me the complex conjugate and then turn in their test. It clearly says, and multiply, right? You guys see that part? Let me see. So what is the complex conjugate to 4 minus 6i? 4 plus 6i. And for my answer, should it have an I in it when I'm done? No, it shouldn't. Okay? So So if we multiply, 4 times 4, 16. Great job, Mrs. Solner. Way to answer that. All right, 4 times 6i. Thank you. Thank you. This class is way more fun when you guys talk to me. Negative 6i times 4. Who's making snide comments back there? Negative 6i times positive 6i is negative 36i squared. Oh, I squared is equal to? I squared is equal to 36? I squared is negative 1, which makes that positive 36. So 16 plus 36, that is 52. Yep, you're good. And then 24i minus 24i, gone. It's just 52. All right, is there questions on complex conjugates? Are we bored to tears at this point? Okay, great.